comedian is someone who is I met through FIS, Eagle Storytellers. Are y'all familiar? Yeah, because everyone who goes to FIS is here right now, right? Yeah, okay. That's why this is working so well. Noelle Hennessy is hilarious, and she does it effortlessly. So, next up, Noelle, there you are. I was like, don't stand up like this.
Let's give it up for Crooked too, letting us come out. This is really good. Sorry. Oh, I love this neighborhood. Don't you love this neighborhood? It's like a good place to be in Tucson. And not every place in Tucson is a good place to be, you know? One of my coworkers lives on the east side. She's told me that in the last few years it's been getting a little bit more hostile to people of color. She's a woman of color, and she was saying there's places that she doesn't really feel safe in, like Costco. I was like, I never felt safe at Costco. I was like, people, I don't know why they let civilians operate those flatbeds. There's like way too many Diet Cokes stacked up on Grandma's flatbed, obstructing her vision. I feel like I'm gonna get taken out or like kidnapped or something there. It just feels really dicey. Anyway, but she doesn't feel safe at Costco anymore, and this is why she told me this happened. She goes, Noelle, this couple was following my husband and I to our car. We were walking across the parking lot, and this couple, these old white people, were in their car, and they were like doing that face, like staring at them aggressively and following them to their car. And she was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, Noelle, what would you have done? And I was like, I mean, I'm like a white woman in my 30s. I would have asked to speak to their manager. Is there someone more senior that I can talk to about your behavior tonight? Like, I don't know why you would ask me how I would confront racism. Like, the only thing I've been conditioned to confront is inconvenience in my life. Speaking of inconvenience, I just got back from a trip to see my in-laws. They're lovely. Very inconvenient, though. No, they're really nice people. They're really hospitable. But my mother-in-law is always convinced that I'm pregnant, which is like weird because when you think someone is pregnant every time you see them, it like loses, like your mommy intuition kind of loses its effect. You know, like eventually I will be pregnant, I'm sure, and she'll be like, I knew it! I'm like, it's like playing rock every time in Rochambeau. Like, you can't actually say that you win every time when you've just played the same thing every time, and you've been wrong 90% of the time. But here's how I know she's convinced I'm pregnant, because she keeps trying to push booze on me. Like she offers a lot of alcohol, and I understand that pregnant women, as a rule, try to avoid alcohol, but other people do too. I actually don't really drink. I'm not like sober, like I do drink sometimes, but I do have a kid, I have a toddler, and I find it hard to tackle her when she's like climbing bookshelves and shit when I'm drunk. And so, so I just don't drink. It's just hard for me to like keep up with her when I'm drinking, but she always like tries to push alcohol on me, and it's so awkward. So she, it was like the third time she offered me a glass of wine one night, and finally I was like, I figured out a strategy. I said no thank you to the wine, but I asked her for like a bump of cocaine. See how that works? Threw her off the scent. But, you know, like, she's my mother-in-law. She doesn't like me enough to share her cocaine. So like I didn't even have to deal with like that. So it was perfect. It's funny. I do have a kid. I have an awesome 1.5-year-old daughter. She's very curious and adventurous and really high energy and stuff. She's really cool. But I noticed just when she was a little baby, even, people put like these really rigid gender expectations on kids, like right from the get-go. I remember this lady at Home Depot one time when she was like 2 months old. She came up to me and she's like, oh, look at him, he's so cute. Like, is he sleeping through the night yet? It's like a weird thing to ask any parent. Is he sleeping through the night yet? And I was like, oh yeah, actually she is. And she's like, oh, I thought she was a boy, but you do have him in blue. You do have her in blue. My kids didn't sleep through the night till they were 18 months. And I was like, they were probably up at night thinking about the rigid gender norms we were forcing on them. It's probably stressing them out. Anyway. But one time I was in line, a few months later, I was in line at the grocery store. My daughter, even from infancy, used to have this like stare, like she's like a racist white person in a parking lot. That she stares at people. She has this real mad dog stare, and she was doing this thing at the grocery store, and I like looked behind me like to see what she's staring at, and it was this kid, like a 7-year-old, in line behind me with his mom. And I looked at the mom, we kind of made eye contact, and she was like, oh, she's working on her flirting game. And I was like, she's a lesbian. She's not into your kid. But also, if that's her flirting game, yes, it needs work. If someone's like staring at me like that in the club, I don't think I'm catching any digits. I think I'm gonna catch a knife in the parking lot, like I'm at Costco. I don't know, when kids are weird, pregnancy is weird. I got to read the notes that my doctor wrote about me. If you've never read the notes your doctor writes about you, first of all, they have to do it. They have to write stuff down. And second of all, it is worth every word or whatever. I don't know. It's worth it. Read it. The first doctor's appointment, I had like the full exam or whatever, and I read the notes, and the doctor was like, external genitalia looks good for age. And I was like, kind of none of your business. It's like something you would see in like the Kelly Blue Book when you're buying a Craigslist card. It's a little subjective, Doc. What would she have said if I was like 26 and my genitalia looked like that? Like lots of wear and tear for age. Not good. I don't even know. Anyway, it's not just the doctors though. Like the people all around you say stuff to you that's normally inappropriate when you're pregnant. You know, like when I started showing and stuff, and I was insisting I wasn't gonna find out. I didn't find out what my daughter was until she like came out, and it sounded like that. I didn't want to find out, and so people were like guessing based on like what I looked like, and people would be like, boy, because your butt would be a lot bigger if you're having a girl. And I was like, we work together. Talk to me like that. Because like in any other context, that's really weird to say, right? Like I could just be like, Brenda, turn around, Gemini. Like, you can't talk like that to your coworkers at work. Anyway, that's not even the worst thing. This one time, this is the true story, like nothing about this is exaggerated. I was walking into my building. I work at the U of A in one of the academic colleges, and I was walking into my building, and a professor who works in my college walked up to me, and he was also walking into the building, and he says, "I like your belly. I'm one of those guys that thinks it's really sexy." And here's what I did. Like tried to find an exit quickly. And I immediately like went to my boss's office and I was like, this man should be fired. And then like he went to like the dean, and then I had to have a talk with the dean, and the dean was like, that's super inappropriate and gross. And I was like, agreed, that's why I'm here. And he at the end of the day, this might make you mad, this man faced 0 consequences for his inappropriate comment. He did write me an I'm sorry card, like a physical card, which I kept in my office. I thought about bringing it tonight, but I didn't want to take up any of my time reading it. But it was just like I'm sorry card, and so like he had 0 consequences other than the fact that the dean of our college now knows the search terms he uses on Pornhub. And he has to work in the same building as me. And I didn't let that shit go. Every time I see him, I look like my daughter when she's flirting. It's punishment enough, believe me. It's so uncomfortable for everyone. I have one last story. I don't know, I didn't really plan this. This is not a good one to end on. And I'm going to tell you. So I wasn't going to find out what I was going to have when I was pregnant. And my best friend was pregnant at the same time, and she was having a girl. We had the exact same due date, and I was like, to our mutual acquaintances, I was like, we're going to arrange a marriage between our children and merge our kingdoms. And they're all like, well, what if you have a girl? And I was like, gay marriage is legal, so you can do that. And they were like, but what if they're not gay? And I was like, you walk down this fantasy road with me of arranging marriages and merging kingdoms. Don't cover up your bigotry with acting like you actually care about my kids' preferences. The goats have been exchanged. It's over. So join us.